So now it's my pleasure to introduce Diarmuid Foley, who has a master's in nuclear engineering from Imperial and is currently researching advanced nuclear at the University of Cork. And Diarmuid is, in this social media world, many of us feel as though it can be a bit lonely being out there banging the drum as a pro-nuclear environmentalist. But thanks to the wonders of modern technology, we have found each other. So I've been friends with Ben Hurd from South Australia for many years, and also with Diarmuid, we found each other too. So Diarmuid today will talk to us about the economics of advanced nuclear, and over to you. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Kirsty. Thanks very much, Kirsty. And good to meet you in person, Ben, and to meet everybody else here today. I'm going to talk briefly on the economic aspects of nuclear and advanced nuclear in particular. As Kirsty said to me, this is really all about what the customer wants, and by the customer, what I mean is I don't mean the end user who buys electricity, obviously, but I mean the utility, the investor, the person who's really going to decide are these plants going to be rolled out at scale as we'd like to see them. So, what needs to be done to make advanced nuclear possible and feasible, economic and finance aspects? Okay, competition. King coal and Prince natural gas, as they call it. First of all, gas, we all know they've done a great job of marketing themselves as natural, which it's far from. But look at the price spread. The top is the OECD countries, the Western markets. On the left there, you see the prices are 6,000. These are dollars per kilowatt, capital costs, no finance costs included. And on the right-hand side, you see the nuclear is on the left, coal is in the middle, and gas is on the right. You can see the price spread between Eastern markets, which is essentially China, South Korea, and similar countries, or builders of those plants in foreign countries. The price spread is about 3 times for nuclear. It's about twice or 2.5 times for coal, and it's quite similar for gas. And of course, we all know that the actual construction costs, these are Energy Information Agency figures. We know that the actual construction costs for nuclear in Western markets, because we're not building them, it could be upwards of $10,000 a kilowatt. This is what I call my magic number. I think nuclear needs to get down to $2,500 a kilowatt hour without the cost of finance. The French build program in the 1974, 1990 did this at $1,800 a kilowatt hour with large nuclear. This is 2005 prices. Nuclear power has been built in China for this, for 2,500, maybe even less. Financing is obviously opaque over there, we can't really see it. But South Korea is also building at these costs in their home markets. And they're building slightly more in developed countries like the Middle East. I'd say that I'd echo words that some of my colleagues have said, which is that current large nuclear is practically unconstructable, unbuildable, almost unfinanceable in Western markets. So what does the sector need? I think it needs a long-term cost drive target, laser focus towards this price level, overnight capital build costs, price stability, build time certainty, along with volume production or repetition. What will drive this? Standardization, volume production, reduced build times. A key is reduced cost of finance. This hasn't been touched on today, and we'll look at this later. And all of this applies to current nuclear as well as any advanced technologies, any nuclear plants that are built. So capital markets finance. Capital markets just accessing capital to build these plants, the providers of finance. A common metric in all low-cost nuclear at the moment is government involvement, government finance, some sort of opaque finance. And despite the climate issue being pushed by Western governments, it's happy to leave energy policy to infrastructure, to private markets. And look at the French example and what they've done there. The French, as we know, are rolling back on their nuclear program. This is undoubtedly ideological, but I think it's also driven by finance. The government doesn't want to take, in my view, the government doesn't want to take the cost of nuclear new build or replacement build on its shoulders, on its balance sheet. A lot easier to hive this off to private markets and let them build renewables. So in this debt, the cost of debt is a key part of nuclear power's future. Advanced nuclear, I call them ASMRs, advanced and small modular reactors. They tick a lot of boxes in respect of what the industry needs. Plus, they've got all these other goodies as well, higher efficiencies. They can access many new market segments, IPH, industrial processes, passive safety case with potentially streamlined regulation or faster regulation, easier regulation. And key there is to to open up the private capital markets. Because make no mistake, the competition, the renewables, the coal, the gas, these are all accessing finance at low cost, either through government subsidized loans or through private industry, particularly the renewable sector. And it's a lucrative sector. Just a bit about potential markets for advanced SMRs. I echo what Eric and other commentators said this morning, replacing coal units. These generators are typically 200 to 600 megawatts. A large chunk of them are in that range. And the SMR is ideal. Up to now, we don't have that size of nuclear plant to replace coal. We've got to target those guys. My own country, we've got a 900 megawatt plant, 300 megawatt generators. Country has no option but to go small modular nuclear if they want to decarbonize the grid. And of course, as Eric and other commentators said, these units, they can be bolted straight in for coal plants in some cases. In modern coal plants, temperatures around 550 degrees. Some of these units, the high temperature gas reactors, possibly the molten salt reactors, can be bolted straight in, use the balance of plant, use all the services that are there. I think this is a massive selling point for the industry. It's also an alternative to gas. If I'm in a utility and I'm looking at replacing an option of going for a gas plant or a nuclear plant, an SMR nuclear looks very attractive to me as a hedge against carbon and future gas volatility. Also mentioned today was industrial processing. This is a not very well studied sector. There are some studies on it, but the sector, if you look at it, 3,000 to 5,000 terawatt hours of thermal power, that's almost double what we're producing from nuclear today, and it's all being supplied by coal. I don't know the percentage, but my guess is 60 to 80% is coal. And there's lots of other small grid, off grid, other applications that were mentioned this morning, like synthetic hydrogen. But these off grid applications, they're here right now. You know, you have the British. I was watching the British Polar Antarctic Research Centre, and they can stay in that place for 3 months or 9 months of the year. Sure as hell, they're not using nuclear. They're just burning diesel, you know, and they're researching climate change. What a joke. But as a market, it's an ideal sector to hit. I'll just come back to the utility perspective as well, or investor utility. By investor, I mean just who's going to own these plants. whether they be a municipal utility, whether they be a community-owned utility, or whether they be owned by, like in the Antarctic case there, might be owned by, by the government in this case, who'd be financing it. The option, if you look at it from the utility perspective, if you're going to build a new coal plant, say, in a Western market, it's going to cost you about 3 billion, plus or minus, for UCS, ultra-critical coal. An SMR allows you to deploy your capital smaller. So maybe you buy, 300 megawatts for 2 billion, if you talk to NewScale at the moment. And, upgrade that or buy 600 megawatts for 3 billion. I think that's a great hedge against future carbon prices. But key to that is I'm going to need finance. I want finance cheap. I don't want to be building these things at, 7% interest rate, which is what I understand or calculate Hinkley is building at. I don't know. So this is a real choice. If build times and price stability can be guaranteed, it permits the utility to hedge against carbon prices, coal, volatility, supply, or coal as a pollutant. So certainty in build and cost will drive. It's a circle. It's a circular economy. You get certainty on build costs. You bring your start of plant and finish plant down to 3-5 years. That'll drive your cost of finance. It's also called the discount rate. I won't go into the details, but it's basically the same thing. And as I said, I calculate nuclear power is possibly paying 7%. I'm not an expert in this, this is my own calculations. For debt finance at the moment, that's if it can access that money, and that's a key cost driver in their cost of construction. The airline industry is playing, again, pluck these figures from the web, but 4% or less, I suspect, is substantially less for similar capital, well, not similar value capital assets, but valuable, safety, regulated capital assets. So the future, standardization, volume production, build quality, build certainty, build time certainty. Thanks for listening to my expert presentation, and thank you very much.
Fabulous. Okay, so we're going to hold our questions just a little bit longer, but do start planning them. I have loads. That was great, Diarmuid. Thank you very much. So.